smelling them, which was the one that you thought smelled the most unusual?
Ethiopia.
Great. So you guys are already experts. So I set this up. We were talking yesterday about what we might cup today, and I thought it would be valuable, again, to kind of take you through what would be a pretty basic lesson about coffee. And so on this table we have represented the three major places that coffee comes from. And those represent kind of the miracle of geography. If you think about Latin America and Africa and the Asia Pacific. And then the other thing that you have to know is that even though nature provides us with kind of some amazing flavors and tastes with coffee, when you pick the cherry off the tree, what you do with it next in getting the skin off the seed, which is what we're after, of course, the seed, is going to really be instrumental in the way that coffee tastes. So on this table today, we have three ways that skin is taken off of the seed. One of them is called washed, which means that they take it off and they use a little water to get it off, and they actually let it sit for a bit in some water, which imparts a certain quality to it. It's kind of like cleaner, if you want to use that word. And then the second method, which is sort of more small farmers and kind of handwork, involves the same process of taking off the outside, but instead of using aggressive water and letting it sit a little bit, they actually do a lot of it by hand. And what that does is it leaves all of these cups that have coffee in them. The coffee has kind of risen to the top, and the key for this process is that the process of brewing these coffees is that if you have the coffee correctly ground and the water is the right temperature, then what's going to happen is that the coffee is going to begin to brew. That's it. Get right down there. That's your chair.
And just break it up.
Just get down close. There you go. Don't worry if you spill a little bit. That's why we have a table. All right, good. And just make sure that you get to smell one of each of that foam. If you're an espresso drinker, it might look like a nice crema. It's actually not a crema at all. It's really just some foam that has a little bit of grounds in it. And so in order for us to get to the coffee to drink it, we're going to take off that surface.
It's so fermented. Even if it's smell like a nutty tone.
And what I'm looking for are two characteristics. Although there's a whole vocabulary around tasting, what we're really looking for are two things. One is called acidity. It's a kind of a tanginess that sometimes happens on your tongue. It's a brightness or a juiciness or a lemoniness. And the second characteristic after that is something we call body. And if you're a wine drinker, think of the difference between like a Chardonnay and a port. One is really light and kind of watery, and then the other has some real syrupy quality to it. When you think about the smell, the acidity, and the body all together, that's when you begin to kind of, in your head, make up words. Okay, somebody used the word nutty. Somebody used the word fruity. What we're doing is using food words to describe coffees. So think that way, and if you really kind of take yourself through a disciplined sense of tasting, think smell, acidity, and body. And then just begin to make up words for your own, just as you have, about the coffee. Remember that we have a Costa Rican, a Guatemalan, a Hawaiian, then we have an African and an African. We have one more Latin American coffee over here, and then we have a coffee from the Asia Pacific. Remember, we have a washed coffee, think lighter, brighter, juicier. We have a semi-washed coffee, think syrupy, rich. And then we have a naturally processed coffee, so you want to think odd or unusual flavor, okay? And as you go through, I know you'll find all those things. And then if you really want to get into it, think about, okay, well, I had a coffee from Costa Rica, a coffee from Guatemala, and a coffee from Panama. Those are all sort of Latin centrals. How are those different? Because they are all processed the same way, but they all come from different places.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, sure.
Just try the Ethiopian.
No. I just tried your Kona. I think let's do that one.